Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Helt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back to my podcast. And this week, our guest is Terry DuPont, and he is the founder of DuPont Advisory Group, which is a national virtual family office. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Terry, tell us, what is a virtual family office?
Right. Well, family offices are not something new. I mean, if you go back in time to the late 1800s, early 1900s, all the Rockefellers and all of those people, they all had what was called a family office, meaning they had their attorney, their financial advisor, et cetera, all working for a team as a team for them. And those particular professionals worked solely for that family. Mm-hmm. And so that was their family office. They took care of everything, right? Well, as time has passed, they've become more popular, and now more and more advisors around the country. There's still not a lot, but more and more advisors around the country are starting some form of family office, and it's now been moving down, so to speak, to where more Main Street, higher income, higher net worth families and successful business owners can have access to these family offices now. Ours in particular is national in nature and mostly is virtual in nature, meaning they're all around the country and we meet via Zoom like this. And so what we were able to do is provide a whole array of services any high income, high net worth or successful business owner wants and needs on a regular basis. And ours are the best of the best in the country in virtually every discipline of finance, tax reduction strategies that are legal and in the IRS code, risk management, financial management, wealth management, business consulting, and estate and legacy planning. And so we cover all those areas, and we've got virtually, I hate to use that word continually, we have approximately 80 national experts in all those areas around the country, and they're the best of the best. And so to keep a long story short, that's kind of the overview of a family office.
What made you want to start one?
I've been in the business for 47 years. Over those years, just like anybody else, I wanted to move up the ladder, right?
Sure.
And so I continually tried to work with more and more successful people along the way. And so I wanted to build this family office so I could serve them as a legal fiduciary and do it very well.
Right. Now, what made you decide to get into financial advising and be a fiduciary?
That's a good question. I got into the business when I was 21 years old, which was a couple of months ago.
Right.
I'm in my 47th year now. As a multi-line agent, I liked what I was doing, but I was drawn more to the financial services side of that. And so I ultimately ceased being a multi-line agent and went straight into financial services because that's what I enjoyed, still enjoy to this day. My father told me one time, he said, Terry said, if you find something that you love to do, you'll never work a day in your life. And he was so right.
You have, in your journey, you have your own podcast, you have written some books, and you got a bunch of stuff going on. One of the things that you subscribe to is the power of zero.
Right.
Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, and a power zero, the philosophy and the processes that we use to engage with power of zero is very intriguing and very beneficial for most of middle America to reduce their tax burden in retirement and hopefully get it to zero, which we have strategies to get there. I mean, there's not just one strategy. We've got 7 different strategies that are in the tax code to get you to a 0% tax bracket in retirement Now, can we get everybody there? No, but we can get a lot of people there, a good percentage. And if we can't get you to zero, I mean, if we can cut it in half, that's pretty good too. Most experts think that taxes have to double in this country, and in order for us to pay our bills and continue to keep Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And so what we do in Power of Zero is take them through a process to make adjustments in whatever they're doing to try and to get them to a 0% tax bracket in retirement.
What are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing the business owners and high net worth individuals? What are some of the common mistakes you see that they're making?
That's a good question. And it pretty much boils down to three categories. Because what I have found in my experience working with income earners, higher net worth people, and successful business owners, they've all got problems or concerns or issues just like all of us,
Mhm.
right? But when it comes down to it, they've got three major concerns that are pretty common for all of them. Number one, reduce their tax burden
Right.
because they're paying so much in taxes normally. And they're all looking to reduce their tax burden. And you're a CPA, and you're probably one of the first ones that'll admit that most CPAs, the vast majority of them, are not tax reduction specialists.
No.
They are tax history recording experts. Okay. And so they're not normally going to offer up any tax saving opportunities other than put more money in your IRA or 401k, something like that. And it's not their fault. And they'll tell you it's not their fault because they were never trained in tax reduction planning. And so it's, as an American public, it's our fault for assuming that they could reduce our taxes. But, we put that burden on them because they were never trained to do that. And so, number one, tax reduction to reduce that tax burden. The second concern that most of them have is asset protection and asset preservation. Okay. And that can entail a number of things. It's not just their IRA or their 401k. It's setting up and giving them guidance on how to protect all of their assets from any type of litigation and so forth. And then the third thing that most of them have a big concern about is not just estate planning, but more importantly, legacy planning, making sure that all their hard work that they've put in over all these previous years doesn't get lost to taxes or anything else after they pass. And it goes on to do the things that they want so that they can leave the legacy that they specifically desire. And legacy is not all about money. Okay. Estate planning and legacy planning are not all about money. It's about your values, family values, business values, etc., that you want to pass on as well. So we focus on those three main areas
Mhm.
because it still encompasses our five disciplines: tax reduction, risk mitigation, wealth and financial management, business consulting, and estate and legacy planning. Okay. And so all those five disciplines fall into the three areas that they want help with.
Right. So you guys help them, either fix or not make these mistakes because of your virtual family office, that you have someone there that can pretty much speak on all of these different disciplines that you talked about.
That's correct.
What is your role in helping with the tax strategies, and what do you do with that? Somebody's going to come to you, they're coming to you because they want somebody to help them with their investments and stuff like that. So how do you get them to either ask the question or get them to start looking at these other disciplines that you have besides the financial advising? Because I think that that's where so many times people are afraid to ask the question because they don't want to sound stupid. Many business owners started out that they were very good plumber, electrician, accountant, attorney, whatever. And they started doing work on the side. Then after they started doing that work on the side, I'm going to start my own business up. Now they're 10, 15, 20 years down the road. They don't know any of the blocking and tackling, and they're afraid to ask questions because they
Right.
don't want to sound stupid, or a lot of professionals with huge egos want to talk over their heads so they don't understand what the hell they're talking about. So they have to keep them employed because they don't. So how do you help them overcome a lot of this and get them to start asking the questions? I mean, because this is one of the whole reasons why we started my podcast was because of trying to ask these type of questions and get the business owners, high net worth clients to start asking the questions that they're afraid to ask because they don't want to sound silly.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me that question because I think the best way to answer that is using a comparison or analogy, if I will. If you look at most of the industry, and if you look at any business owner that's trying to get in or that wants to bring on a new client or customer, okay, no matter what business they're in, there's a starting point, and then there's a point where they become a client or they don't, okay?
Right.
Somewhere in between the beginning and the end, they decided to do something else. But most advisors from that point A to point B will spend about 10 to 15% of the time getting to know this person and this family. And they'll spend about the other 80 to 85% of their time going through products and strategies that they want to sell the client that may or may not even be in their best interest.
Mhm.
Okay. So they really don't get to find out all they need to know about a particular prospective client or customer. We, on the other hand, reverse that. We spend about 85% of our time just in discovery and visiting and talking and getting to know our potential new client before we ever do any planning or any solutions. And it works totally different than what they're accustomed to because we don't sell anything. We help them find out what the true issues are. My job is more of a counselor and a facilitator if nothing else. Even though I'm, licensed in all these areas, and the firm I own is a registered investment advisory firm and legal fiduciary, we don't sell anything. And so my job's pretty easy. I just get to visit with people, facilitate and counsel them, and find out what their issues are. And then I go out and find the people within our virtual family office that can best help them solve their problems.
So, I mean, because you guys have reversed this, then a lot of people are going to look at it, it's like, well, how does that make financial sense for you if you're spending 80% of your time getting to know the person and then the other 20 helping facilitate? I know you're doing this because you're trying to find the best solution for your client. And to me, that really helps build a relationship because that's what you're doing. You're building a relationship with them. You're not being transactional.
Mhm.
But how does that, again, everybody, what's in it for you? Everybody's looking at, okay, everybody's got to make money. We're not in this for being a nonprofit or anything. But,
Well,
how
I have to, beg to differ with you there a little bit, Gary, because the first several years of me being in business, I was nonprofit.
Yeah, I get that. But how do you make that work for you? And then, how do you again keep duplicating this? Because if I'm spending the majority of my time talking and getting to know somebody and I'm not getting the business, then again, that's why you're being the nonprofit. But how do you make that work for you?
Good question. And it does work because what happens is through our process and providing all these services under, virtually under one roof,
Right.
we're allowing, and we bring to our clients the ability to have all the professionals working on the same team and
Mhm.
working together. Okay. And Gary, you're a CPA. When was the last time one of your clients, attorneys, or financial advisors or anything call you up on a regular basis just to discuss the client and see how it's going and work together on that client to serve their best interest? How often does that happen with you?
Not as much as it should.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't happen for anybody very much unless they're working with a some type of family office.
Right.
So what happens during this time, they found that, this is so much better than what they've experienced in the past. It's like night and day, that they don't want necessarily to leave their investments over at XYZ with all that risk and volatility to average a 7 to 8% return over 20 years when they could be, reducing their risk substantially along with the volatility and doubling their returns.
Right.
So now, why wouldn't they want to do that and get it all done under one roof? So it all comes back, okay, because they've got to have people doing that, because that's one of the things that, it's more important to them is preserving and protecting their assets. And that's just one piece of the puzzle on their investments, for instance. So we also have strategies that they're not familiar with, and they'll say, oh, we know about everything. Well, I hear that all the time. And then we offer these strategies and go, well, I never knew about that, but they've been out there forever. Okay. And the reason they've never heard of them, because most of them have been utilized by the super wealthy for decades successfully, but it never got down to their CPA or their advisor. But so we've brought all that down to Main Street. We've taken the best private equity, the best private debt, the best private credit, etc. And we've taken these and we've scaled them to such a point that now we can bring them down to Main Street and offer them to almost anybody that's an accredited investor, got $1 million net worth or more. And so now we've been able to take what has been historically reserved for the super wealthy, and we're bringing it down to Main Street, making it available to most everybody.
Yeah. So Terry, I mean, obviously, with this, you guys are really helping better people's lives, and again, helping them plan for the future, and in your words, help them build that legacy that many people want to do for their families. What have I not asked you? You wish I had?
Oh, I can't think of anything right off the top of my mind, Gary. I appreciate you having me on.
So Terry, if people like what they hear, they want to learn more about your virtual family office, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, my email, Terry at DuPont Advisory, that's ORY on advisory, DuPontadvisory.com. My cell number, 260-229-9291. And if you want to visit us, just go to our website. You can take a look at our whole national teams, our local teams, etc. And that's at DuPont Advisory. V is in violin, F is in family, O is in office. VFO, Virtual Family Office. So it's DuPont Advisory.
Great. And then where can they find your podcast?
Well, you can go to just about any place that has podcasts. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Apple. So that's probably the best place, is to go to Apple Podcast. It's Better Business, Better Life, Building on Your Success is the name of it.
Great. Terry, really appreciate your time. Appreciate the talk today.
Oh, thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Great. Hey, this week my guest was Terry DuPont with DuPont Advisory Group, which is a national virtual family office. And I will see you guys next week.
Thanks, Gary. Take care.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com.